Compliance is usually very boring, isn't it?
No, for me, actually, compliance is super exciting. I mean, regulation, as you know, is growing all the time. The complexity in doing cross-border business is not getting easier. A lot of these institutions, banks, even handling it today, is hiring more people. And to me, hiring more people is not the answer to a really major problem. We founded the company in 2012, so you can see how many years ago that was. In those days, we talked a lot about artificial intelligence, we talked a lot about automation, digitization, and the market wasn't ready. Anything that is manual has to be standardized using automation. And I actually feel machines technology can do it way better than any human. It's a waste of a human to spend time doing something that, let's face it, technology can do better. So I do love my job, and compliance is not boring when you look at it like that.
Welcome to ICA Podcast, brought to you by the experts of ICA Consulting, an international business consultancy with a great purpose, connecting people and delivering impact. Here in ICA Podcast, we explore interesting topics, opinions and personalities. We're always happy to welcome new members into our network, so feel free to send us an email and join our Telegram channel to stay in touch. This time we're being joined by a new member of the ICA network, Remonda Kirketerp Møller, the founder and CEO of Muinmos, the KYC, KYB and onboarding platform. Please enjoy the podcast and follow us for more.
Hi Remonda, thank you so much for coming today. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's a pleasure to have you here, regardless of your business. Thank you so much for agreeing to record another podcast. I know that you've been on 2 podcasts this morning already, so I'm not going to exhaust you with like cryptocurrencies and the technological stuff. But I will ask you some questions that would tell us more about you as a person, as an individual. So thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here.
How are you really feeling today?
Energized.
Energized.
Yes,
that's
I
good.
would say very much energized. It's exciting. I love being in London. We have a fantastic network and clients here, and every trip here gives me insane amounts of energy. So I'm super excited about being here.
Wonderful. That's good when you go to the meetings and you actually have some energy exchange. isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, you look very bright as
No,
well.
that's
so
good.
yeah.
That's good. No,
Yeah,
I do get, despite the fact that of course our days are packed with meetings, and of course meeting a lot of our clients, many of our leads and also partners, I definitely get a lot of energy from it, and just seeing the involvement in the space is absolutely fascinating. So yes.
That's great. So you genuinely like your job.
I adore my job. Yes.
Even though it's in compliance. Compliance is usually very boring, isn't it? How do you find it that energizing? It's
no, for me actually compliance is super exciting, but I think that's partly because I would say probably from the very early days, over 2 decades ago, I made a decision that anything that is manual, anything that is the same, has to be standardized using automation. So I would probably, if I'm to go back to the early days, over 23 years ago, I hated repetitive tasks. So as a person, I can't do that. And I actually feel machines technology can do it way better than any human. It's a waste of a human to spend time doing something that, let's face it, technology can do better. So I probably would say very early in my career, when I was young, I made that decision quite early, and I reminded myself of it every day. So even in the early days of managing a fantastic team that I was in charge of, I actually, you could say, introduced them to a passion of really utilizing their energy and mind to actually automate rather than to repeat tasks that will wear them down eventually. So I do love my job, and compliance is not boring when you look at it like that.
Wow. You're a very conscious business owner, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because you don't only understand the realities of it, but you look very far into the future, and you probably were realizing that this many manual tasks is not going to do the job.
Well, you could say I was incredibly lucky to have landed as a lawyer by background, to have landed in a very high-tech institution. So I would probably say that I already had definitely a need to automate things that were repetitive, and again, machines can do better. But I was also introduced very early to technology, which made me realize that some of the best institutions in those days that I had the pleasure of both working with and working with also on the sideline, their technology is what really drove their business upwards. But one thing that they all had in common, and unfortunately we still see pockets of it today, is very little technology budgets were put into the back office, which basically meant that as the front office was flying very fast forward, the back office, the only way a lot of these institutions, banks, even handling it today, is hiring more people. And to me, hiring more people is not the answer to a really major problem. I mean, regulation, as you know, is growing all the time. The complexity in doing cross-border business is not getting easier, and the regulators are definitely becoming much more alert and aware of technological capabilities. So I definitely would say that the introduction to it from an early day was absolutely a reward for me, in a sense, to actually see the power of it. But I was probably one of the earlier introducers to it into the back office, in particular to the compliance side of the business. That rarely you saw in those days. When my company was founded, people thought it was a crazy concept, and nobody wanted automation because humans are better and machines are not, and it was too complicated to automate. But of course, fast forward now, you can see what's happening in the market.
Yeah, you've built a very trustworthy business, I would say, regardless of all those perceptions of AI, right?
Yeah.
But you also started it way before AI got this popular.
Oh, yeah. We founded the company in 2012, so you can see how many years ago that was. In those days, we talked a lot about artificial intelligence, we talked a lot about automation, digitization, and the market wasn't ready. So I struggled massively in the early days trying to introduce this into the financial sector. Despite the fact many of them were very much driven by technology on the front office, their back wasn't, which meant that actually trying to make them understand what humans are doing in 2 days, 5 days, even in some cases months, can actually be done in minutes. It was too much of a foreign concept for them to grasp, actually.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But you probably made so many businesses much more happier.
We have, and we continue to do that, and we continue to challenge the market, because it's still, believe it or not, despite the fact that AI has definitely pushed the human mind forward, which we absolutely love, because the human mind needs to move forward. For us to have any form of development in this space, we need the human to also adjust and adapt, and your generation will not accept the speed we saw in my generation. You want things like this, and that's actually the wake-up call to the market. So absolutely, there's no question. But if I'm to look back at the beginning days, they were tough. But today, we still see pockets. I can't, sit here and say, oh yeah, everyone is transformed. No, they're not. We are seeing massive amounts of institutions that are really working in a dinosaur, I like to refer to it, phase. And that's a shame, because they are really ultimately pushing their business out, and continuing by using humans to do something like this is actually not only a waste of resources, it's a waste of a human resource.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I really appreciate your point of view. I'm the same. I agree with you. Every single word, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Humans are more useful and some more creative and humanitarian tasks.
Exactly.
And yes, we all like money, earning, and all those challenges. But let's be honest, much easier to do it together with technology instead of actually battling it.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're seeing that even the FCA has such a pullback for the clients, for the businesses. As a regulator, it's just I wouldn't say it's a nightmare, but they definitely need to do something to move a bit quicker and maybe start working with the businesses that create the platforms like you did, for example.
Yeah, no, we do. We work with a lot of regulators. We've been part of also helping out with many handbooks around the world, partly because our initial days of Muinmos were primarily research, of course, so development, research and development, massive amounts. Otherwise, we can't get to the abilities that we can get to today. You see, a lot of people see technology as a couple of pieces joined together and here's a result. What they don't realize is the complexity of the code in order to be able to generate those instant results, massive amounts of years and years of work that have gone into it to spec it. So I agree with you. The regulators, I would say, compared to when we first founded our regtech company, they did not appreciate the value of regtech in the same way. In fact, very little at the regulators was driven by technology. Even their permissions, their handbook, their registers, they were incredibly not only manual, but out of date. So a lot of it you could not use. Very few, if any, had API connectivity, which basically meant that even from an extraction point of view, it was virtually impossible. Of course, fast forward to today, it's a whole new story. But that took companies like ours to drive that as well.
But how does it work today then?
So today we're seeing a lot of regulators that are injecting heavily also in technology. We're seeing many, I'm sure you know of that, sandboxes operating everywhere from almost every corner of the world. Where they're trying to actually understand what's going on in the market, what are the technological capabilities out there, and to also test them under control conditions, which is really good. And to be frank, they're hiring more experts in the market. So if you look around the regulators today and you actually compare to maybe 5 even years ago, let alone 10 or 15 or 20, there are definitely more individuals with domain expertise. And that's very, very interesting for us to see because we love that. The only way for the market to have an element of, you could say, stability, you need to also have the regulators understanding what's going on in the marketplace. And of course, still allow competition, still allow companies to also come up with new ideas, new products, introduce creativity. And of course, the whole point of platforms like ours isn't to remove the compliance element from the equation, is to make compliance people more intelligent. It's to allow them time to think about things that matter. It's to help them push the business forward. It's to make them part of business rather than a back office cost. So for me, it's the passion that comes with it is I feel, wow, we are helping grow a business. If you have to get a kick out of that because that is exciting. But of course, if many compliance officers, if they don't see that equation, it's just a matter of time before their job becomes obsolete. Not because they're not needed, because they're not needed in an area that the machine can do better. Where they're needed is more in the analytical part. No AI is going to take over that. That's still, you need the human element, but the human element comes with that creativity. And to bring creativity, you need energy and passion.
Yeah, that's for sure. When you do KYC, because do I understand correctly that the platform mainly does KYC and onboarding as well? Yeah,
so it's so our platform is primarily for onboarding, KYC, KYB. We cover the full chain, you could say, all the way from investor protection to the KYC, KYB, and risk, and all moduled into one single platform.
Very weird question. Just personally, I'm very interested. How many IT people have you used to produce the product?
It's not about resources, actually. It's about intelligence. So the first years was R&D. Once you have the map and the code and everything together, you don't need many IT resources to be able to build these type of platforms. The biggest mistake very often we see companies doing is they feel that they need massive amounts of IT resources to be able to build something, but that's because they haven't spent time speccing. Right. I've come from the world of you don't build before you spec. You have to spec, you have to understand what you're achieving, you need to know where the end result is, and then you get the technological teams involved. But getting them involved without any form of specification, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to stay exactly where you are, and that's a failed project.
Yeah, but back in 2012, when you just started Muinmos, what are the three things that you would have to explain a little more so that they actually believe that this product has some value?
My drive was enough. I'm a domain expert, so I would say it wasn't difficult for me to explain the need. The difficulty was to make the human on the other side accept that the need is there, and it's going to allow them basically to create value.
Yeah, that's what I mean by trust.
That's the difficulty was that meeting of the mind that wasn't there in those early days, but we didn't give up. I can tell you, I've had many doors slammed in my face. We've had many seed investors in the very, very early days saying, no, we don't see the value, and look today. So of course, you end up having to get up again and know that you're not going to go up a smooth mountain. That mountain has many holes and many edges that drop you off, and then you look up and you're like, wow, I have another 1,000,000 miles to climb, and you just keep going because you believe so much in it. And there's no question, if my strength wasn't there, you would have, I would have stopped years ago. But I knew that the value creation for the market is massive, and I knew I was onto something very, very big. And we also, as the team started folding together and growing, we could see that, wow, we are truly adding value to these institutions. And that, of course, at the end of the day, that's the measuring yardstick, where you feel it's being used, it's loved by our clients, and it's creating massive value for them. That wakes me up every morning to work even harder and continue that value creation. It doesn't stop. The regulation doesn't stop. The implications in the market doesn't stop. The cross-border difficulty doesn't stop. New products coming into the financial service sector, whether it's crypto, etc., doesn't stop. Exactly. So that's why, going back to your original question, compliance is boring. Absolutely not. There's no ending to it. And I'm, super excited to see what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, you're challenging Simon's podcast now.
Yeah, good. Then I'm excited about that.
Looking back on that. Amazing. I'm very happy that we got the chance to even introduce you as a speaker tomorrow to our network.
Good. I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, and finally somebody is going to tell people how to turn the compliance into the actual growth engine. Yeah,
I hope so too. And I'm very excited about it, and it's a pleasure to speak about it too.
Wonderful. That we'll see tomorrow. We might get a snippet into this podcast, so you might see something of it.
If there is a company out there that tells you instantly, with a click of a button, can I onboard or keep this client? In financial services, asset management, hedge fund, you name it, space payments, what would you say? They said it's a dream. That's the word they used. So I decided to remove the F word out of it, and I kept actually the dream part, translated it from somnium, which is in Latin meaning basically dream, and back to Muinmos, which is the company's name.
Thank you so much. It was the general part of the podcast. Now we're going to move to the fun part of the podcast, which is the Blitz questionnaire.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. It's a Blitz. Don't think about the question.
So what do I do?
Just get the answer straight away. First answer that comes to your mind.
Oh, God.
It's not anything, and nothing difficult. More like things to look at you as a human. Well.
Oh, God. That's difficult. That is difficult because I'm not sure I am.
Right. Question number 1. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, Die Hard.
Book that changed how you think?
Maybe Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged. Morning ritual you would never skip.
I don't think I'm married to anything, if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's good.
I think,
every day starts in a different way.
No, of course, I have a pattern of things, but if I skip it, it's not going to bother me. You know what I mean?
Awesome. One thing that instantly calms you down.
Yeah, probably my phone.
City that feels like home, even if it isn't.
Copenhagen.
Music you play when you need energy.
Jazz.
Music you play when you need calm.
Classic, I would say.
Guilty pleasure when nobody's watching.
What do I do? Yeah, not a sugar person. So normally I would probably just dive into something salty.
One value you refuse to compromise on.
Integrity.
Great. And the last question. Did you like the podcast?
I did.
Right. Thank you so much, Remonda, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And we will see you tomorrow.
And I'm excited.
And hopefully we will see you next time on the podcast. If some regulations are changing or something is happening, please let us know.
I will.
And we would love to tell all the network about what's happening.
Definitely. I'll keep that in mind. Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.